Hej, witam wszystkich serdecznie, z tej strony znowu Temer i dzisiaj mam wam do zaprezentowania trzecią, ostatnią część naszej relacji z Warsaw Games Week, w której to, jak zapowiadaliśmy, pokażemy wywiad z Alem Bickhamem z Creative Assembly, z którym to Samicka, sponsor wielkiego mistrza, miał okazję porozmawiać i wypytać go na temat nadchodzącego Total War Warhammera, jak i troszkę o innych Total Warach też było mowy. I cóż, wywiad był przeprowadzony w języku angielskim, tak więc dla wszystkich tych, którzy może nie znają tego języka zbyt dobrze, albo też po prostu wolą mieć też tekst po polsku, zostały zamieszczone napisy, tak więc nikt nie powinien mieć problemów z odbiorem tego wywiadu. No i cóż, zapraszam was do oglądania.
We divided our questions in three parts. Yes, it's about Warhammer, it's about Arena, and other Total Wars. So, first our question is: will Britannia be divided into 7 provinces? Could you give our guest?
I don't actually know how many provinces Britannia is going to be, actually. I can't remember seeing the campaign map, so I will have to get back to you on that question.
Okay. Then when will you show us a campaign map? Yes.
Quite soon. That's next on our hit list of things to start showing people. So that will be coming, quite soon.
In month?
Maybe a little bit longer.
A little longer. Okay.
Yeah, maybe. But I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Let's put it that way. Like I think you'll see some interesting developments given the nature of the game, given that it's set in the Warhammer world. So I think you'll like what you see.
Okay. Something bizarre you say. We will see. What about cities? Because we know cities in Warhammer universe has a specific wygląd.
Ale jak pytanie całe po polsku powiedzmy.
Ma specyficzny, każde miasto, znaczy są takie miejsca w Warhammerze, które mają bardzo specyficzny wygląd, zdefiniowany
Well,
wręcz.
there are places in the Warhammer world that are very characteristic. They have a characteristic look. They are not generic like cities in previous Total War games. So what about those places? Will you bring them to the game as well? Will the players be able to actually see those unique places on the campaign map and actually experience them?
Yeah, everything, and the same is true whether we're talking about armies or characters or cities or whatever. Every race has its own look and feel. Every race has its own unique style, its unique architecture, its unique culture, obviously, and that's even true down to the campaign game mechanics as well. So, if you play as greenskins, for example, you have completely different campaign game mechanics as you do as dwarves. Sure, you still recruit generals, or lords as we call them now, and you build armies around them, but of course those armies are vastly different. You just have to look at the different armies in Warhammer to see how different those armies can be, right? But by the same token, as I mentioned, the campaign mechanics are quite different as well. So if you're playing as a greenskins, there's this concept of the war. Do you know this term?
Yes.
So it's the war cry of the greenskins, but it's also a feature, like a campaign. It's a kind of mechanic for the greenskins as well. So when you're playing the campaign, as you fight, you build up your war, and it gets to a point when it's like the bar is full, and then you can kick off a war, and it's like a war cry, and new generals and new armies appear because they flock to because your war boss is the toughest. New orcs come to you, and you can direct them to give them orders to go and say fight a city over here, or attack this army, or patrol this area. So it's all about keeping that momentum up. But as you probably know, if you know a bit about Warhammer, greenskins, if they don't fight others, they tend to fight themselves. So if you stand around and you're not using your armies and you're idle, then they start fighting themselves, and your numbers start dwindling because they start killing each other because they just want to fight all the time, right? You play as the dwarves or the Empire, that's completely different. Empire's much more traditional, kind of given that they're a human race as well. It's a much more traditional mix of Total War features, you know, some diplomacy, research, you know, the kind of things you would normally do in a Total War game. And also, their focus is going to be very different as well, because if you play as Karl Franz, your objective really is going to be to unify like all the elector counts who all have their own ideas about how the world should be run, you know. So you're going to be wanting to use diplomacy or brute force, you know, to unify and build that empire effectively. Yeah. So, you know, each race has its own objectives. Each race has its own, you know, unit types and characters. It's all very, very unique. And this is why you know, we have 4 races. Like in a standard Total War game, you might have, say, you know, 9 factions maybe at the start, but they're all humans. They all have some spearmen and some cavalry, and
Yes,
you know,
yes.
they're variations. Sure, they're different. You know, Greeks fight very differently to Romans, for example. You know, they have different formations and different unit types, different strategies and things like that. But the scale of the difference is in Warhammer is vast between the races. So I think, you know, whatever your playstyle is, there's something for you, basically. So,
Yes, of course. Then, what will happen to nations which haven't got their own army book? What will happen to them? Do you
I
plan
see.
to place them in game, or
well, it depends. We don't have any hard and fast rules about what we're going to do and what we're not going to do, because this game is going to run for years, right? We've got 2 big expansions coming, the same size as the main game, right? So we do the main game in April next year, April 28th, the game comes out. And then sometime further down the line, we have the first expansion, and then later we have the second expansion. Each of those expansions, so it's the first game, it geographically, on the campaign game, it shows it's a section of the old world in Warhammer, right? It's like just one section of the world. And it's kind of why we've chosen the races that we have to start with as well, because they're geographically, they're all in a very similar place. They're all in the Central Europe of the Warhammer map, effectively. And as you get the new expansions, your campaign map will grow. And by the time you have all 3 expansions, we cover the whole of the Warhammer world. So eventually, yeah, we're going to have all the factions, all the main factions in Warhammer. The smaller ones, I don't know. We still got to think about that. About, you know, whether we're going to release smaller factions without army books or anything like that. So we'll have to see about that. But you know, I think the idea is, if you've got some guys, if you've got a race you like in Warhammer, you know, I don't think you're going to be disappointed in the end, essentially. So.
okay, fine. In Medieval 2, second was hot seat mode. Do you have any plan to back to this
No,
form?
we don't have any plans for that. No, we'll do the same as we essentially for multiplayer. We do the same as we've done in our last couple of games, which is we'll have 2-player campaign, which obviously you can play cooperatively or competitively, and we have, you know, just battles, multiplayer battles, so 1v1 up to 4 versus 4 battles as well. But yeah, no, we're not really considering hot seat.
Then play by email mode 2.
Play
It's
by
out
email.
out of option, yes?
Yeah, no play
Okay.
by email either.
Next question is about lords, yes, and agents, and about heroes. Is there any option that agents, that heroes, that lords are random characters?
Yes. So essentially how it works is there are 3 character types. So you have your lords, and these are like generals from previous Total War games, yeah. Only they have 30 skill levels rather than 10, you know, so they've got very deep skill trees, and they have a battle skill tree, a tactics skill tree, and a strategy skill tree, all of which bring them different benefits to the campaign game and the battle and their management of their troops during a battle as well. And obviously their physical abilities in battle as well, and how good they are at fighting and melee or spell casting, because some lords of course will be spellcasters. So if that's the case, then, you know, if you have an Empire Lord who's a spellcaster, there'll be a pool of lords which get generated in the game, yeah. And when you want to build a new army, you recruit a new lord from your pool, right? And so you have a look through them. There might be a wizard with this kind of magical lore, or a wizard with this kind of magical lore, or there might be a very melee focused want a lord in there, you know, or you might want a lord that generates more benefits on the campaign map. So you might want to, as he levels up, maybe spend less in his battle skills and more in his campaign management skills, right? So lords, there'll be a great variety of different lords to choose from, because there will be this big pool that is generated, and then you pick the ones that you like, you know, to lead your armies around the campaign map, essentially. So that's lords. And heroes, of course, which are the agents now of Warhammer. They still work as agents. They still travel around the campaign map. They can do, you know, assassination or sabotage, or the kind of things that you would expect agents in previous Total War games to do. But now, of course, you can attach them to armies and they appear in battle. So, you know, if you have a witch hunter or a warrior priest are cool actually, because they're dual role, because they're melee and they're spellcasters at the same time. So they can be quite valuable troops. So you attach those to an army, and then he's a spellcaster that can take care of himself in battle as well. You know, so it's pretty cool, and they're quite rare, those kind of units. Yeah. But yeah, so it's important because you can attach them into armies, and they appear in battle, and they can really help support your army on the battlefield. I mean, they're good warriors, they're powerful warriors in their own right, obviously, but you know, giving them special abilities or giving them magical items, which you know, mean that they can be support characters as well. So you could give, so for example, in the battle that we have downstairs, there's a hero character in that dwarf army. He's a Thane, which is a dwarf melee hero, and he's got a couple of skills which are basically buffs and debuffs, and he's really useful for if you've got, you know, your classic hammer and anvil. So you've got your anvil, which might be some dwarf warriors, and they're hitting the enemy troops, and you use your hero as a hammer. You go and hit them in the side or the rear, and he's got this big morale debuff. So you click that, and that unit gets terrified, and it can quite easily rout that unit quite quickly. So you know, you can use these guys as support characters as well. And then of course the third character type is the legendary lords. And when you first start a campaign, you'll have a choice of, depending on the faction, but depending on the race, you'll have a choice of 2 or 3 different legendary lords. So the Empire, for example, they can have Karl Franz or Balthasar Gelt, who are very, very different guys. They have completely unique quest chains all to themselves, which unlock obviously their unique magical armor and items, or spell laws. In the case of Balthasar Gelt, you know, he'll have his own, you know, he'll have access to, you know, certain magic, and these guys are where the storytelling really lives, because they have an extra skill tree, and that's their unique skill tree, and as you put points into that, it unlocks quests. And then you go, well, now you go over here, so you go around to this part of the map and you perform a task maybe, and then you go over here and you battle this force over here, and then, you know, you have a big quest battle and you unlock, you know, if I'm playing as Karl Franz, I might unlock Galmaraz, you know, the Warhammer, or Deathclaw, his Griffin, right? So normally he starts on foot, right, with the troops, but later when he's more powerful, he'll be wielding Galmaraz and he'll be on Deathclaw, and suddenly he's a very, very different, you know, transformed character, you know, in the battlefield, because he can fly over here, he can fight other flying units, and he's very powerful in melee. So, you know, those characters, you see some tremendous development with them in a way that you never got with generals in the previous Total War game. So yeah, characters are absolutely central to the game.
Okay. Next question is about one more question about multiplayer mode. How will look like multiplayer in Warhammer? It will be something similar to Avatars mode.
No, at the moment the plan is, I mentioned before, but it's essentially the same as we had in our previous, like with Rome 2 and with Attila. So we have 2-player campaign and head-to-head, so 1v1 and 4v4. So that's the real focus for multiplayer is of course arena. So that's where a lot of our kind of multiplayer energy goes to the arena team. So
okay, will there be a possibility to playing multiplayer campaign in more than 2 players?
No, we're only going to have 2, because it's a tremendously difficult thing to make work in the first place with 2 people. So we know we can do that, and we know it's safe. We know it doesn't break the game. So the other thing is like it gets kind of out of control with more people, I think, because the turns can take so long. Late game, when you're playing with other people, like a turn can last when you have lots of big. Imagine Rome 2 late game, how much territory you own, right? And then you're waiting for your buddy to take his go, and it's like, oh man. So.
Excuse me.
Will magic work like ammunition, mana? Yes, will work like ammunition. Yes, own magic has own bar. Yes, okay.
Yeah, it works, and it's variable, right? So you have in Warhammer you have the concept of the winds of magic. Yeah, so you go into a battle, and in the tabletop game, every turn. The player whose turn it is rolls dice to see how much magic is around that their wizard can draw out of the air and then cast spells with, right? And it's kind of like that, only it's over the course of a battle. So you might go into a battle and the winds of magic are blowing very weakly and there's not much there. And you have to wait for it to kind of tick up over time, enough to cast a spell. You might go into another battle and the winds of magic are blowing like crazy, so your mana bar is full. And you're like, whoa, great, I can cast this, boom, and then I can cast this, boom. And then, obviously, you have to wait for it to recharge. Then, you can't just throw all your spells out at once kind of thing, so there's a balance. But certain things alter that. So there are certain areas of the world where the winds of magic blow more powerfully, naturally. They just blow. So if you go up north to the Chaos Wastes, where around the Chaos Wastes, there's a lot of wild magic up there, so you're much more likely to be able to use your spellcasters more frequently in battles in that part of the world, right? I mean, it's random as well. That you might go into a battle down here where it's not, where it's nowhere near the Chaos Lands, but it's a really windy day for magic, So it's kind of variable, and through your lords or your spellcasters, because obviously heroes can be spellcasters too. So through your lords and heroes skill trees, you'll be able to unlock. Or improve their abilities to use the winds of magic. So it might recharge a little quicker, or it might give you more starting mana, for example. So there's some ways you can improve your magic usage as your characters level up as well. So.
Yes. So if if I understand you correct, spellcaster who is out of mana, it has only one possibility to fight, melee fight, right?
Yep. And some spellcasters can be quite good melee warriors as well, And the other thing is about characters. It's like I mentioned before. Each character has 6 equipment slots. So you could have a magic ring, you could have a cloak, or you could have a magic weapon of some kind. So you can improve your wizard's fighting abilities as well by giving them items, by giving them equipment. So you might give your wizard loads of cool gear, so when he runs out of magic, he's also got extra abilities or better skills in fighting. So and it's up to you. You've got to customize it, the way you want it, kind of thing.
Items. How a player can obtain that items? Items would, jakby to powiedzieć, że leżą na ziemi.
Or just laying on the map somewhere, you can pick it up.
You loot them after battles. So when you complete a battle and you win, it's like you've stolen an item off the enemy army. So you loot the items in the battle.
So every army, every lord has some basic items from start. Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
And in the battle down here, if you played it, you'll see Thorgrim, for example.
Yes.
Has 2 items already. He has the fiery ring of Thori, which can make a fireball. Because of course they wouldn't cast a fireball spell because it's dirty magic. The dwarves don't like dirty magic. But if it's bound with runes into a ring, they're much happier with it, so they don't mind that. He's also got a healing potion as well. So, but yeah, he could have up to 6 items there. So.
There will be a possibility to exchange items
between
characters.
Oh
yes.
yeah. You can take them off one character, give them to another. We also have magical standards. which again you can loot them in battle. You can win a battle and win them, and then before the next battle, you can. It's like an icon. You drag it and you can give it to a unit, and then they get the magic standard for that battle. So, so it might be, you know, if you've seen the kind of list of magic banners that you can get in the Warhammer books, then you've got a good idea of the range of things that we have. So.
Then what will happen when my character has 6 slots full, yes, and when next battle in loot is 3 items. It's staying on the ground on the map, or can I send it to the city or sell it?
Yeah, no, it goes into your backpack basically. You know?
Backpack.
So if you've got 6 items on your lord and he wins another one, it just goes into your pool of items. So you have a collection, and then you can go, right, well, I'm going to take that one off and put that one on there. So, you know.
It's easy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's easy. It's obviously obvious. Okay. Next question is: can we accept similar to Warhammer in future?
Maybe. Who knows? You know, I think the important point to say here is that we're not. I know you probably heard us say this in the past, but we're not leaving history behind. We're still doing history games. So,
it's very important. Many people
exactly. I mean, it's our heritage.
Want to
right?
be sure that you never leave that historical series. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's important. I think it's important for us to say that because. You know, first time we announced Warhammer, everyone's like, "Oh my God, you're leaving history behind." We're like, well, "No, we're not. No, we're still making those games." You know, and we have a team dedicated to looking at what the next history game is, for example. So they're quietly sitting there, figuring out what we're going to do, which period we're going to tackle. To be honest, that far in the future, like beyond history or beyond Warhammer, it's like Warhammer's going to keep us busy for quite a long time. So who knows what's going to happen in the future? I say never say never. You know, like there's so many games that we'd love to make, but we've only got enough hours in the day, right? So.
Yes. Next question is about flying units. You talked about it.
About what, sorry?
Flying units.
Oh, flying units, yeah.
Yes. We commanded that helicopters, dwarves helicopters, 1 floor, and my question is that helicopters is it a sign of Total War, Great War?
Oh well, now maybe.
You know, it's a
No.
it's a first war where airplanes are used in battle. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we don't have any plans to make a World War One game. I'd be plain about that. We don't have any plans to do that. But we have the technology. You know, we could do it if we wanted to. If we thought the desire was there, maybe we'd consider it. But you know, let's see. I mean, it was interesting after Fall of the Samurai because we had artillery, we had naval bombardments, we had Gatling guns, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, you guys, are you going to do a World War II game maybe? Oh my God, you know." And it was funny because we were like, "Yeah, maybe," you know. And then what came next? It was Rome 2. So I think we could tackle any period we wanted to. Really, I think the gameplay would be, you know, just thinking about it, the gameplay would be we'd have to create something interesting and compelling for First World War because. As you probably know, the First World War, it started, it was a bit like Napoleonic combat, right? You had line infantry, and then suddenly these horrific weapons were destroying everybody. So everybody dug holes and trenches and got down here. So, and there were long periods when it was bitter fighting over a tiny piece of land, effectively, with many men. So we'd have to find some way of making those battles compelling and not repetitive, you know. So we'd have to think about how that period of the war, how that period of the First World War would work, and you know what would make it fun to play, you know, or interesting to play. So, so I think it would have some unique challenges, but I don't think we're beyond those challenges, you know. So who knows? Maybe one day.
Maybe. Okay. Then I think we go to questions about Arena.
Okay. Yep. I'll say first, Arena isn't my big focus. I'm more focused on in terms of knowledge of the game. I'm more focused on Warhammer, but I'll answer everything I can on Warhammer.
Okay.
I'm playing the Barbarians at the moment and having a lovely, lovely time. So, hang on with this.
Okay. Question is in Total War Arena we have 3 nations at the moment. Yes, Rome, Barbarians, and Greeks. Like you know. Of course, it is not over.
Oh no. I think there's plans for lots more generals, lots more unit types, and
But if you say a lot of generals, you mean more than 3 generals per nation?
oh, I don't know about that, but you know, different factions.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
with more generals maybe. But I can't. I don't know all the plans. But what I can tell you is that the plan is to keep it slow and steady, because we're having a very long alpha beta period because we want to get the balance right, and everybody who's out there playing it at the moment is giving it great. We're getting so much feedback. We're getting so many metrics about which units, maybe people are using these units too much, or there's something missing. There's a gap, and a certain unit is dominating. So a good example of that is with the Barbarians. They get cavalry from tier 1.
But without charge.
Without
charge.
without charge.
Yes.
Yeah. But you very quickly
it's quite. It's not that useful. Jak powiedzieć, że to nie jest tak użyteczne, jakby mogło być użyteczne.
Actually, it's not that useful as it should be, because you use cavalry to charge in the rear, and you can charge with this unit. You have to wait to tier 2, but it kind of differs the only tier 1 battles.
Yeah, well, it doesn't take long. I mean, it takes an hour or
Yeah.
so to get to tier 2. So, and then you have momentum and charge and all that good stuff with your general skills as well. But what I like about them is I like playing like just going hunting. Like, take them out into the forest and peek out and have a look. Move around the enemy army. I see a lot of people in the low tiers with those barbarian cavalry flying around the place, and it's like they're really weak. They are a glass cannon, right? They're made of glass. They die so quickly. If you go anywhere near spears, they obviously just fall over, But if you're careful and you're cagey, you can level quite quickly with them. If you just play it safe, and then you look for that one archer unit, and then you're out and you're all over them, and it minces the archers or the javelin men, and then you withdraw and you go away again, and you dive out and hunt like this from cover, and that's I find that a really fun, interesting bit of gameplay, because I think I played Militaris before, and I had a very defensive army, and I tended to just sit in the base and just spear up, and protect. But so this is a very different kind of gameplay for me, and I play 3 cavalry, for example. So I love it. I love the I feel like a bird, like going and then coming back again. It's just a different gameplay style, and it also, the whole point of them was that they are like a hard counter to ranged units, which there wasn't so much before in the early tiers, because of course with the other generals it takes a while to get cavalry. So it just, and that all came from feedback from the players, from the metrics where we can see how many people are using which kind of units and that kind of thing. So we're like, okay, there's a gap here. We need to fill this gap with something useful. So now artillery and archers don't dominate so much. So
many players, arena players, have expectation to play in 10-man parties against equal enemies. Yes.
yeah.
Make some primate, yes, and fight against another primate, yes. When you plan to implement this element in your game?
My knowledge there about the future plans is not so great right now. So, God, I wish we'd brought Jan. Jan van der Krabben is the brain, like the knowledge of Arena, but he couldn't make it out here with us. So, what might be better if I give you my email address, and you feel free to send us any questions, and then I can sit with the arena team and we can fill it out and send it back to you. Is this okay? Because
Okay.
I just feel I'm a bit out of my depth with arena, so is that okay?
Okay.
Cool. All right.
Okay. So now it's the first part of our interview. Yes. Questions about all other Total Wars. Do you planning on supporting Rome 2 and making any more DLC?
That's another good
Because
question.
many players in Polish community have a dream to play one of
Slavic nations.
not Slavic nations. It's in Attila,
Alright.
but in Rome is one of desert nations like Numidia.
Oh yeah. I don't know. It's the answer. Again, it's my focus has moved away from Rome 2 because we have a new content team, we call them, and they work on DLC for Rome 2 and Attila, for largely historical stuff. I guess eventually they'll be probably working on Warhammer DLC as well. I don't know what the plans are for Rome 2, so I can't tell you, I'm afraid. Again, you can add that question to the email, and I will find someone more knowledgeable than myself about it to answer.
Oh, next question is about older Total Wars, yes, because players after when they playing a lot in older Total Wars, see many bugs, many problems with games. Maybe my friend tell about one of Napoleon. Do you planning to patches do release patches to older Total War series games?
Not so much for the older ones, no. I mean, our focus at the moment is really. I mean, we're still doing stuff with the Attila. There's still content coming for that, so we still look at ways to improve the Attila. And obviously, you know, Warhammer is taking up a lot of everybody's time right now.
So there is not possibility to send you a list of things to fix, yes, and you in 2, 3, or 5 months release patch.
Yeah, I don't think so for the older games. I think I think that time is past now. You know, because we have focus and we have time allotted to work on. You know, because video games are made on a big budget, yeah. So you have time allotted to work on various things. So to take people off the project and then work on old games, I don't think is something that we'd probably do. Not at this stage when it's so far in the past now. So.
Okay. It will be last question. Many fans see lack of Total War set in 15, 17th centuries in Europe. Yes, we had medieval. Its end in 5025 or around, and next game was Empire. Yes, it started in 1700. So we have a gap of 1 century, more, almost 2 centuries, yes, in Total War series.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So any plans to make one?
Well, all I can say is that this almost comes back to the Great War, right? There are so many periods that we think about. We have a list of loads of periods that we'd love to do, you know, and occasionally, as you've seen with Rome 2 or Shogun 2, we've gone back to periods as well because we think we can do a better job of that period now, you know. So we have a big list, and it's just the order. It's not necessarily, you know, that we won't make a game there. It's like what order we're going to do it in. You know what I mean? We've got so much to choose from. The thing is, like every Total War game is chosen. We've chosen to do it at a certain period because that period of time is it fits the Total War model, right? You have a bunch of different races or factions, nations in contention. Any one of whom could have maybe flourished and become the victor. So you know, the early Roman period Rome, there was every possibility that people could have ganged together, and Rome could have never have been the power that it was. Maybe it could have lost the Punic Wars, and then Carthage would have been the great victor in the civilization sort of races. So we pick a period of time according to its instability, and it's always on the brink of war, because we are total war, of course. So if you can think of a period of time in which this is all true, and to be honest, that's lots of periods of time, then we could make a total war game there, right? We don't have any specific plans right now, because our history team is kind of literally going through this process at the moment, going, and what should we do next? We could do this, we could do this, we could do this. So we'll just have to see what happens.
It wasn't. It wasn't last question. I lied to you.
New last question.
Do you work on new game engine?
Do I work on
Game engine, new game engine. Do you work on
I
new
see.
game engine?
Well, the thing is that the game engine changes with every game, right? So,
But it's still in many parts it's same from Science Empire.
but it's
yes?
but it's modular, right? So lots of things change with every iteration of the game. So we take out, the way impacts are done can change from game to game. The way that the cohesion of different units can change from game to game depending on how the coders or the designers decide to do it in that game. We take out visual features like VFX and different graphical effects and particle systems. We can, take those sections out and put, replacement ones in that may be more efficient or more optimized or whatever. So it changes with every game that we do, and it's constantly evolving. So it's not like, I think there's this big view that the Total War engine is this old thing that hasn't changed for many, many generations, but it changes with every game that we do. It evolves slightly with every game that we do. So, and you can see that in the visuals at the very least, that the games improve visually as we go along, to encompass new hardware and new techniques as well, so new graphical techniques as well. So it really is an evolution. It really is a case of evolution. That engine, it's got some of the same bits as old games, but it's got lots of new bits as well. So it changes all the time. And the same is true of Warhammer. An Arena's a different game altogether because we took so much out that it doesn't need to be in there because it's purely multiplayer, right? So it's a very slim client. It's like 5 gig or something like that. I can't remember, 5 or 6 gig, because it doesn't need all the other systems that are constantly buzzing away in a Total War game. So yeah, we remove or add features according to how we want that game to be and the design we want that game to follow, and it changes with every game basically.
Okay, thanks for the interview.
All right, no worries. My pleasure. Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.